What's up, boys? Welcome back. So in this video, I want to break down how you can actually get leads for your video business. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm literally just going to jump right into it. So I had a student of mine in my school program ask me, hey man, how do you do your lead gen? So thank you, Alex. I'm sure you're watching this. And I just want to, create this video to answer that question. And, shout out to Alex because I really actually enjoy it when my students ask questions, because it gives me content ideas. So they benefit because they get an answer, and y'all benefit, and I benefit because I get content ideas. So if you want to join the school community, I'll leave a link to this in this video, so you can ask questions like this and get these answers. So thank you, Alex, for your question, and I'm going to jump right into that now. So like I was saying, there's two ways of doing this. So there's the old way and the new way. So first I'm going to break down the old way and show you, honestly, this is probably what most of you are doing. So I'd be surprised if any of y'all are doing the new way, and if you are, good job, but I highly doubt it. So first off, let's break down the old way, and that is, dun dun dun, it is cold outreach. So a lot of you are probably doing cold outreach, and if you're not, you're relying on referrals. So that's, it's another way to do it, but it's not even like a strategy. You're kind of just waiting for someone to give you a referral, or you're waiting on your friend to tell someone about your services. So cold outreach is kind of the old strategy, and a lot of people are teaching it, and a lot of coaches are telling you to do cold outreach. So I want to break down, first off, the costs that go into cold outreach. These are just based on my numbers when I was starting off. So first off was Lead Swift. So this was how I was getting most of my leads, and it was honestly a great way to get mass amount of leads for pretty cheap. So I was paying $49 a month, and I was getting about, I could get about 1,000 leads a day. The problem was it was searching by location, so it was limited to the amount of leads in my location. So I was doing roofing at the time, and this was just a quick screenshot of one of my lists, and it looks something like this. So I'd literally have to sort through this manually and, pull the leads that I like. You could see I made it bold if that was one I wanted to use, and basically just had to sort through this. So this was just a quick screenshot. The list was bigger, but that's kind of what it looked like. So I would pull leads from Lead Swift, right? So these leads, I would, do cold outreach to them. I had two ways of doing this. So there was looms, and there was, cold DMs. Okay, so a loom is what I'm doing right now. It's just a quick video, and I'd actually make personalized videos, and I'll show you that in a second, an example of that. But I was doing personalized videos for them as outreach. Then I was also doing personalized DMs. So to actually reach out to these people, like I said, I needed Sales Navigator. So Sales Navigator is basically LinkedIn's tool for reaching out to businesses, and it costs $150 a month. So that was just a cost that I had to accept, and I was paying that to Sales Navigator. So just to show you that I wasn't sending long scripts. I wasn't like a lot of people who send cold outreach send these long scripts that you can tell it's a sales pitch. I literally personalized all my messages, right? You can see I sent out 1,300 of these, when I was doing it. That was, these are very personalized. So you can see, hey, Mary, just saw the post about the Jingle All the Way marathon, blah, blah, blah. So basically, I was talking about their specific product, from probably an Instagram post, and I was literally just asking if the website is the best place to purchase. Now, the strategy was I'd get a conversation started, and then I'd actually pitch them, right? That being said, it wasn't super successful, and I'll get to that in a minute. And this wasn't even me doing it. I had a VA working for me, and I'll also get to that in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, this is Sales Navigator, and you can see I was sending personalized cold, DMs, right? So that was the cost for Sales Navigator. Then I was also sending looms, okay? So this was an example of a loom I was sending. So I'd have their picture here. I'd print it out, and I'd, make a thumbnail. And that was just to grab their attention. So you can see I just sent an email, sent the loom, and that was basically saying, look, here's your problem. You're not using targeted video marketing. Here's here's what we do, XYZ, right? So the goal is just to get him to book a link, or book a call on my calendar with that link. So that was the loom, and it cost $15 a month, okay? And then, like I was mentioning, I had a virtual assistant. So all these screenshots are just proof that this is actually stuff I did. I hired him on onlinejobs.ph. So I blurred out his information here, but this is literally a screenshot of our conversation, and I ended up hiring him. So I had two VAs. This was one of them, and he cost $500 per month. So he was working $5 an hour. 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month. Okay, that came out to $500. So that was the VA, and that just took off. It freed up my time, right? I don't have time to send all of this outreach myself, so I was paying a VA to do a lot of it for me, right? I was handling a lot of the back end stuff. I was, providing him with leads. I was making sure the strategies were working. They weren't working very well. But yeah, that was the VA, and it cost $500 a month. So all of that added up, you've got LeadSwift, Sales Navigator, Loom, and a virtual assistant. All that came out to $715. But the problem with this is it's not scalable, and it's not really that cheap to get into. So a lot of people, a lot of coaches, they'll tell you do cold outreach because it's free, right? All you have to do is just reach out to people. But if you want to actually build up a system around cold outreach, you're going to have to pay a lot of money, right? To get leads, to have people to reach out to, and there's a lot of money that goes into it. So literally my monthly cost was $715 per month, right? So it's not scalable, and it's not that cheap to get. So all that for a potential client. I didn't even sign clients from 8 months of cold outreach. So yes, it could have been done better. Yes, I could potentially get a client, but at the end of the day, there's not really much to show for it, and I'll get to that in a second. So these were the stats since I tracked everything when I was doing it. You can see I sent 63 video pitches in a month. I sent follow-up emails. Honestly, I probably sent more follow-up emails. I probably didn't track that right. Follow-up calls made. This was 67 follow-up calls, but it was probably about 4 per person. Like I'd have to ring them up 4 times in a row. So probably 67 times 4, whatever the math is. So a lot of follow-up calls, took a lot of time, and it was a lot of rejection, obviously. Most people didn't pick up, okay? Trojan Horse, that was the cold DM strategy. I sent 189 of those, right? So all that to literally just book 3 calls, and none of those calls turned out to be clients. So a very big waste of time. So just to break down the numbers here, it was $715 to reach 252 people. That comes out to, I'd spend $2.84 to reach one person, right? So the problem was it wasn't building anything lasting, right? So even if I got a client, even if I got 2 clients, at the end of the day, let's say I lose those clients, I'm really left with nothing. I don't have a brand. I maybe have a little bit of work to show for it. That's about it, right? There's not really anything that's lasting. And even if, like I said, I close a client or 2, if I lose them, I'm left with nothing to fall back on, right? Not to mention, it's super, super saturated. I talk about this a lot. Literally anyone with a service, right? This could be copywriting, video editing, website design. Everyone with a service is reaching out to these same companies offering their services. Videography is just another service, okay? Which means these businesses are getting hit left and right with, all these big, outreach messages, and they're just turning everyone down. Not to mention people are, their guarantees are getting more and more crazy. So some people are offering it for free. Some people are saying, look, I'll pay you to let me work with you, right? It's getting crazy. So it's literally a race to the bottom, right? So it's not a great way to do it. It's super saturated, and you're not really building up anything over time. Okay, so that's the old way, okay? Now let's go over here to the new way. Let's find it over here. The new way is a personal brand, right? So this is what I practice and preach. This is the system I use now after doing 8 months of cold outreach with 0 results. I switched over to a personal brand, right? So a few upsides to a personal brand. Like I was saying over there, it costs literally $2 and a couple cents to reach one person. With a targeted personal brand, you can spend $12 and reach 1,000 people, right? That's a lot more, return on your investment, right? Not to mention, clients are going to chase you, not the other way around, right? So cold outreach, you're literally reaching out to people. They don't know you. They don't trust you. They don't know who you are, right? With a targeted personal brand, it's the complete opposite. You're building up trust with people, and they're going to reach out to you asking you for your services, right? It's completely different, right? So you don't have to manage a team, right? When you had VAs, you're having to manage them, you're having to pay them, you're having to make sure they show up. You don't have to manage a team when you have a personal brand. It's literally just you. It cannot become too saturated. So the thing with, what I was talking about earlier with e-commerce, or with, what was it, cold outreach, it can get too saturated. There can be, lots and lots of videographers pitching the same services to e-commerce brands, right? There's nothing that really sets them apart. With a personal brand, people buy because of you. People buy from people, so they're going to buy your services because, not just because you have a good service, because they've seen you. You've built up trust with them. They want to buy from you, not the other guy down the road. Even if it's the same service, it doesn't get too saturated. You also build up trust before the call, so there's way less sales resistance. So there's a big difference. I've done both. I've done a sales call, lots of sales calls from cold outreach, and I've also done lots of sales calls from a personal brand. There's a big difference between the two. With the sales calls from from cold outreach, it's a lot more sales resistance. They're asking, they don't really want to buy. They're like, why am I here? What are you trying to sell me? All that, right? It's harder. You have a lot more objections. With a personal brand, when they book a call, first off, they booked it. You weren't like reaching out to them, begging them to book a call. They booked it. They went out of their way to book the call, and you'd already built up trust with them. They'd already seen your content. They already know who you are. So when you hop on that sales call, there's a lot less, objections to handle. They're ready to just, buy. They'll hand you their credit card basically. So it's a lot easier. There's a lot less sales resistance. So how do you actually build up a personal brand? Well, it's very, very simple, but it's not easy, right? On paper, it all adds up, but it can be quite the task, okay? So it's going to take time, but anything worth building will. So a lot of people think with cold outreach, it's just going to happen overnight. And it also takes time, and it isn't really worth building. With a targeted personal brand, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but there are, I'm going to show you ways to actually speed it up, right? It doesn't have to, take 6-12 months. It's going to get better with time. It's going to get better, 1, 2, 3 years down the road, obviously, once you built up more of a brand, but you can speed up the process. And I'm going to share, ways to go about doing that, okay? So I'm going to just break down the basics here. So the first things first is you need to define your ideal client profile, aka your niche. So this could be dentists, this could be roofers, e-commerce, restaurants, etc. I don't really care. You're going to have to figure that out, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second, right? Next thing is you need to understand everything about them, right? It's almost like giving a crack to a crack addict. It's exactly what they want. So if you know what they want, they'll pay for it. So you have to understand everything about them, their common desires, their common goals, common struggles. Research your niche. Understand them in and out, okay? Next, you need to create content specifically for your ICP. So this could be educational content, entertainment, giveaways, etc. Basically just building up content that's going to be helpful to them. Next, you're going to build a funnel. So at this point, you understand what they want, you're creating content, but you need to actually take the eyeballs from your content, people who are seeing your content, and actually use a funnel to get them on a sales call. So that's what a funnel is going to do, and funnels are a lot of fun. There's so many ways you can go about doing that. I can talk about that in another video, but you're going to have to build a funnel, and then you're going to have to learn sales. So once you've built a funnel that takes the traffic from your content and books a sales call, if that makes sense, then you actually have to learn sales. So now that they're on the call, you have to learn how to sell them on your services. After that, it's as simple as delivering. And most of you watching this probably are pretty good at videography. Most of the time, you don't even need to improve your delivery skills, right? So breaking this down even more. So how do you define your ICP? Well, a lot of it is just trial and error. So, I tried 3 or 4 niches before I actually got one right. So, go into it with the understanding that, yeah, you probably won't find a perfect niche on the first try, but you're just going to have to start. You're going to have to at least take the first step. I don't want to see you guys, a year from now still not taking action because you don't know what niche to pick. So, do some research, figure out some good niches. Big thing here is find a niche with a lifetime customer value over $1,000. So what does that mean? Well, a lifetime customer value is basically their customers are going to spend over $1,000 over their lifetime, right? The reason that's good is because with a video, if you can sell, basically, let's say a company has a lifetime value of $5. You're going to have to sell a lot of $5 products for it to be worth it for the video to actually be a good investment, right? But let's say you create a video and their lifetime customer value is $1,000. You literally just need that video to get 1 or 2 customers for it to be worth it for them to buy a video. Does that make sense? So find a niche with a lifetime customer value. So this could be roofers, right? If you get roofers one client, that's thousands and thousands of dollars, and that automatically makes it worth it for them to invest into a video versus someone who, like a startup who sells, $5 bracelets. It's just not going to be worth it for them to invest into a video. So that's the big thing here for defining your ICP. Obviously, I could get a lot more in detail, but I just really want to touch on the basics in this video, okay? Next, you need to understand your ICP. So there's a few ways of going about doing this. The first one is basically you pay to play. So a good example of this is the Steve Madden method. So Steve Madden, he started a shoe company, and what he did was very genius, honestly. So what he did was he started a shoe company, but he didn't know which shoes would sell. So long story short, he basically created, 10, 15 different shoes, and he didn't mass produce them. Obviously, that would cost a lot of money to do. And what he did was he put them all out for sale, and he tracked which people actually went into the store and asked to buy them, right? Then what he did was he took that data and realized some of the shoes were, selling. He didn't actually sell them. He just told them they were out of stock. They weren't available, right? But basically, he got the information from the customers. So he figured out some shoes sell great. Some shoes don't even get any, attraction, right? People didn't really care about them. So basically, the market was telling him what he wanted, right? So that's one way to do it. So if you pay to play, you can basically spend money on ads to show it to a ton of people and figure out which ones work the best, right? That's one way of doing it. Another way is to do student calls. So honestly, I'm not even recommending this. Someone else told me to do this, one of my other coaches. And honestly, I don't think it's that, trustworthy. I don't think it's a great way to do it, but it is a potential way. So student calls is basically calling up people in your niche. So let's say it's roofers. You call them up and say, hey, my name's Knox. I'm a, student looking to learn about roofing. I have 3 questions for you. I was wondering if you could answer them. Basically, you ask them questions about, their common struggles, common desires, different questions that's going to help you better understand them, okay? Last way is with chats, okay? So basically, once you're creating content, you're going to start opening up chats, right? You're going to start talking with people in your niche, and they're literally going to tell you what they want. So there's scripts for this I have available in the school community. You can check those out. But basically, these scripts are going to allow you to, figure out what your customers want, okay? So that's just a quick overview of it. Hopefully that made sense. I can get a lot more detail. I'll probably be creating videos specifically on each of these things. So specifically on understanding your ICP, specifically on, defining your ICP, right? But in this one, I just want to briefly touch on how to do all this, okay? Next thing is creating content. So basically you need to find similar creators to you. So a good book for this, I forgot to mention it in the slides, but it is called Steal Like an Artist, okay? So basically it talks about there's nothing new under the sun, and the best artists, the best creators actually, steal from each other. They're just borrowing from each other. So you need to learn how to find creators and almost copy them, but also put your own twist on it, right? So find similar creators and pull inspiration from them. You can also let the market tell you what they want. So basically, let's say you post 2 reels. One of them does terrible, one of them does great. You basically take that reel, figure out what did better about it, and create one like that. Then you split test those 2. If that one does better, you figure out what was better about it, and you create more like it, if that makes sense. So the market will tell you what they want, and like I was saying, just split test it, okay? Next thing is getting traffic. So there's 2 ways of going about this. There's organic and there's paid. Obviously, organic is going to be slow, and paid is going to be fast. That's what I was saying earlier. There are ways to speed it up. And basically, you can just pay to speed this up. So you can basically run ads to show it to more people. Pretty simple stuff, okay? Both require consistency. you're always going to need to be constantly posting new content. That's just the name of the game for a personal brand, okay? But organic is going to be a lot slower. The next thing is building a funnel. So this is, I could talk for so long on this. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of different ways you can go about doing this. But some big things here are to include call to actions, okay? So a call to action could be, DM me for my free template, DM me for a free LUT, right? There's a lot of ways to include call to actions. That's basically going to get conversations started, okay? So call to actions are going to get people to DM you. That's where you'll start conversations. You can start these chats like I was talking about earlier, and that's how you're going to get conversations started. So include call to actions in your content, right? Another way you can do this is with warm outreach. So everyone who follows you, you'd send them a warm outreach message, okay? So you'll basically reach out to them, and it's not cold outreach because you've already built up trust. They've already been watching your content and they dropped you a follow, okay? Next way to do it is via cross-pollination, okay? So basically for Instagram, this is going to be, sending them to, sorry, the cat's here. Get out of there, rat. All right, so for Instagram, you got the DMs, okay? So that's great for starting new chats with, potential customers. And then YouTube is great for warming them up and providing value. So you're really going to cross-pollinate. So people who see you on YouTube, you'd send them to Instagram to start a chat. People who you start a chat on Instagram with, you'll send them to YouTube to warm them up and provide value. Does that make sense? So cross-pollination, it's, Instagram's great for DMs. YouTube is great for warming people up. And you just want to send people both ways, okay? So that's a great way to do it. Some good ways of learning how to create funnels are going to be to read these books. So Expert Secrets, it's a great, highly selling book. It's absolutely great. I highly recommend it. So Expert Secrets and Jab, 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 Right Hook. Okay. Both of these are on Audible. I just listened to them and they're solid. Okay. So that's going to teach you a lot about building funnels, and basically the psychology behind it. Okay. The end goal is to book a call. Okay. You're not trying to sell something here, you're just trying to get a call booked, right? That's once you book the call, then you can go for the sale. But that's what jab, jab, right hook, jab, 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 right hook talks about. So end goal is to book a call. Next is learning sales. So this is one of the greatest skills you can learn, and there's so many ways you can go about doing this, right? First way is use the 6-figure sales blueprint. So that's been tested and tried, thousands of times. And that's what I offer here in the school community. So if you haven't joined the school community, hop in there. There's free seats available right now. And basically, it's, the system. It's discovery call, strategy call, agreement call. And it's a great system because obviously, honestly, I won't even go into it. There's, it's great, but that's a whole nother topic. So use the 6-figure sales system. It's a great way to, close more clients, okay? Next is to learn and practice the scripts, okay? So obviously I provide the scripts for free in the community. Shameless plug. I mean, it's free. So, but yeah, you need to practice them. So even if you know the scripts, or even if you're getting, calls booked, if you don't know the scripts, you won't actually be able to make the sales. So practice the scripts. We actually do live calls. That's why I say join the live calls, and we'll actually practice these scripts. So that's going to be happening here soon, but we're going to practice these live calls, just get the reps in, right? Get out of here, cat. All right, so next thing is read Sell Like Crazy and How to Win Friends and Influence People. So these are great books for basically just learning sales. So Sell Like Crazy is more like specifically on sales. How to Win Friends and Influence People is more like the psychology and how to understand people, right? So these two combined make a deadly combination. So that's it for this video. Just reached the end of it. Hopefully that answers your question, Alex. Basically, there's two ways of going about doing it. There's cold outreach, targeted personal brand. Cold outreach is outdated, it's saturated, and you're left with nothing at the end of the day. With a targeted personal brand, I could talk for hours on this. There's so many benefits to it. Like literally all the big gurus are doing this, right? Alex Hormozi, Eamon Godzi, like literally everyone you look up to, they have a targeted personal brand, which opens up networking opportunities, which, it's so scalable, right? You can pay ads and you can reach more people, right? So so many reasons to build a targeted personal brand. I broke it down briefly in this video, but obviously we can get a lot more in detail in the live calls, and also, in the community, and as well as, feel free to read those books. Like I was saying, those books are going to be super helpful, showing you how to actually, go about doing a lot of this stuff. So there are resources out there for free. I'm offering them, and there's also tons of books, which aren't that expensive. There's good podcasts. I recommend Mid Convo. That's a great podcast to listen to. Basically teaching the sales side of videography. So that's it for this video. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments, or hop in the school community and interact in the community. Feel free to ask me questions. I'll answer them. I'll get back to you. And if you get in the school community, you have a question, you can literally ask it, and I'll record you a video just like this. So thank you for your question, Alex, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.